And welcome everybody to our live for the 1st of June. Today I'm going to be talking about confidence. So I will give you a few moments to come into the room, introduce yourself, maybe put some questions in. Do you have problems with confidence when you're speaking English? Or even speaking another language? It doesn't really matter. This live actually covers anybody speaking any language as a second language. So yes, it is hard. And I remember very, very clearly when I moved to France, I thought I knew some French. And then I started speaking to French people and they would look at me with this queried look on their face and, what are you saying? And I realized that a lot of the time I was using, because I was used to speaking German as my second language, I was using German words and my brain was tricking me into thinking I was speaking French. So I was making a French sentence, but with German words popped in every now and then, which of course, not a lot of French people understood, quite rightly so. But it just goes to show you that you can have the vocabulary in your mind and your brain will automatically bring it forward as long as you feel a wee bit confident. Now, a lot of us, including myself, I'm not a confident person. And when I go out into public and I have to speak to people, I get really nervous and it worries me. And you know, it's very human because you have another human, okay, talking to a phone. You know, when we learn languages on the computer or by watching movies or on our telephones, it's completely different. And it's different because we are the only person talking. And the other side is a machine. So whether it be your phone or the television, they're not going to come back to you. They're not going to frown at you. They're not going to say, oh no, you got that wrong. They're not going to walk away or shout, speak louder at you, making you sound stupid or feel like an idiot. And that's the really hard thing. It's the really hard step to do is when you're speaking another language is to go out there and actually start speaking to a foreign person. Hello, whoever's in the room, do say hi in the chat and let me know, do you have any problems with speaking English? Today is particularly about confidence, but perhaps you have other things that you want to talk about. And the confidence it will come. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, but I'm not good enough yet. You don't have to be good enough to be confident. Now, we all know somebody that is confident about, it could be about their body or about their job or about their partner or their children or whatever it is. I mean, people have said to me things and you look at them and you think, really? That's how you see it? But because they're confident, it comes across really well. So what I want you to do is I want you to pretend to be confident. Yes, it is a real thing. Someone actually messaged me and said, is it a real thing to fake it until you make it? Because we hear this phrase a lot, fake it until you make it. It is real and it really does work. So to fake it, there are a few things you can do. Now, I have done a post on confidence a few weeks back and you can watch it and it has subtitles so you can listen to it and it might help you. But one of the biggest things with faking confidence is that the other person mustn't know that you're faking it. And that's where you have to be clever. That's where you smile. Smile breaks down so many barriers. Even if somebody is raising their voice and talking louder at you. And I've had that a lot in France. They just repeat what they've said when you don't understand, even louder and even stronger. And thinking that you're going to understand a second time if they say it louder. No, you don't understand what they're saying. So saying it louder is still isn't going to make you understand. So what you do is, first of all, you smile and feel confident. So shoulders back and breathe. So before you speak to somebody, take a deep breath and then you speak. Because if you go in with all the words in your mind and you think, okay, I've got to say this and this and this and this, and it's all set out in front of me in my brain, what happens is you're thinking about all of those words and you get to the person and it all comes out jumbled and they still don't understand what you're saying. So shoulders back, deep breath, then walk up to the person or the shop or wherever it is you're having to speak English and ask the question. And you'll find that your brain will find the words. Now, it doesn't matter if they're in the wrong order. It has no importance when you're speaking a second language. It really, really doesn't. I have spoken French as a second language now for nearly 25 years. And people understand what I'm trying to say. There's the odd occasion where I use the wrong word or I use the wrong phrase, or somebody that's not used to my accent is confused and all I do is repeat it, or I try a different way to explain it. I've never, ever in 25 years had somebody say to me, you've put all the words in the wrong order. I don't understand you because you're not constructing the sentence correctly. It just doesn't happen. So even if you want to order a cafe, for example, a coffee, you go into a cafe and you say, I would like a coffee, please. Now, instead of saying, I would like a coffee, please, that's a lot of words to remember. You can just say, coffee, please. And when they say how many, obviously, if you're only by yourself, they're only going to bring you one coffee. But you can just put up a finger and say, one coffee. That's all you need to do. You don't have to have an entire sentence ready. Now, another thing that helped me was when you receive an email in a foreign language, or even letters, have a look at how the sentences are put together. Now, this only works, obviously, if you're in a country that's already speaking English. You're not going to get it if you're in Africa. If you're in South Africa and you're looking for this, it won't work because people won't be sending you letters in English. But if you are somewhere like America or Australia or England where they're speaking English and you're trying to integrate into English society, when you get those letters or emails, have a look at how they've put in the sentence and then use those sentences. So one sentence that I used a lot when we first moved here is, thank you for the conversation on the phone. Here is the document that you requested. Now, it's very, very simple, but gosh, do we send a lot of documents these days with emails and texts. And that sentence I got from a letter that somebody sent to me. Can't remember what it was about. It doesn't really matter. Someone sent me a letter and I thought, that's how you phrase the sentence. And it's not word for word as you would in English, because that's what I was doing. I was translating and writing the words word by word. And I thought obviously people were understanding me, but it wasn't correct French. And then when I copied this sentence, I've had a few people say to me, gosh, isn't your written French really good? No, it's not really good, not at all. But you can copy. Nobody knows that you copy. And the same goes with speech. If you hear someone say something, you can either ask them and say, what did you just say? And repeat it and ask them to repeat it with you, word by word, or syllable by syllable, so you get the right pronunciation for that word. Ask what it means and then use it in the day. Now, it doesn't matter if you've got no one to talk to. Just pop it into a sentence when you're by yourself at home. That's absolutely fine. So, you're about to go in and say, order a coffee. The waiter's coming. You can see him coming. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Pause. Smile. Put on your best smile, which will make him feel like you're going to be a nice person. So he will relax and he won't come up and say, blah, 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 and you don't understand. He will calm down. And then when he comes, doesn't matter what he says, doesn't matter if he's suggesting the menu of the day or have I reserved a table or whatever, it doesn't matter what he says. All you have to say is 1 coffee. And you can add please if you want to. That's it. You don't need a full sentence to speak. You don't need to have all the words in the right order to speak. You don't need to have a huge vocabulary list to speak. You don't need to be an extrovert or to be confident. Most people, even extroverts, when they're speaking a second language, are not confident. Because to speak a second language, you're putting yourself out there for people to laugh at. Well, that's what we imagine. We think as soon as we speak, people are going to laugh, they're going to joke, they're going to mock us, they're going to think we're stupid, they're going to make us feel like an idiot. And you are not an idiot. The number of people that have said to me, you have a degree? Yes, I have a degree. I actually nearly have 2 degrees. But it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that people are surprised that I have a degree that means that when I speak French, I sound like a child because my words are muddled up and I don't use the right words. And that's absolutely fine. I don't need them to know that I'm not stupid. I don't need them to know that, no, I'm not an idiot because I can't put a sentence together. And quite often with my students, because young people can be particularly cruel when you're speaking a second language, is when a student asks me and says, oh, you didn't pronounce that right, or you didn't say that right, or, well, I don't understand what you're saying. What do? I speak in English fluently. Your language, your native language, you speak with perfection and use it as a tool. So when people mock you, which are very few people, there's not many out there, but some people might say, she doesn't speak good English. Then speak Arabic. Just say something to them in Arabic. First of all, it disarms them completely. They can't laugh at you because they don't know what you're saying. They speak English. They don't speak Arabic. So as soon as you speak Arabic, they're thinking, oh gosh, no, she's not an idiot. She can speak Arabic perfectly. And it's a really good way of disarming anyone that might laugh at you or even boost your own confidence. Because in your language, you're perfect. You don't need anyone to correct you. You know all the words and it's so easy and it comes out so easy. So if somebody does, one time I had a lady laugh at me. I took back something I bought in a shop and she was having a field day. She was raising her voice to the point she was almost shouting at me and she kept repeating the same sentence over and over again. And I said, I don't understand. Je ne comprends pas. And so she'd say it again, even louder. And I thought, well, I didn't understand the first time. I still don't understand. And I kept saying, Je ne comprends pas. And eventually I thought, it's not me that's stupid. She's the stupid one because she thinks that if she keeps repeating the same sentence, I will understand somewhere along the line. No, I won't understand. If you don't speak the language, you're not going to understand. So I very clearly, and pronunciation was perfect, I raised my voice and I spoke to her in fluent English. Now, it doesn't matter. She didn't understand a word of what I said. And I just said how I thought she was rude and arrogant, and she was in customer service. I'd taken back an item to the shop. I wanted her to replace it or to repair it, and she was not helping me by shouting at me. And straight away, she stopped shouting. She went red in the face. She looked at me and she said, sorry? And I thought, I found my tool. So on the odd occasion that somebody laughs at you or somebody makes you feel small, reverse the table. Laugh at them. Make them feel small in your own language. And then start again with the English. And it's a great way of disarming those kind of people. But like I said, there are so few people like that. I've had one person in 25 years that shouted at me like that. All the other people I've spoken to, and I speak to a lot of people, have never criticized my French. And I don't speak perfect French, far from it. They don't tell me I'm wrong. Sometimes they tell me I don't understand, and I'll explain it a different way. But most people get the gist, and this is the next thing. When you're faking your English, all you have to do is get the gist across. Now, what's a gist? A gist is the main information. It doesn't matter about all the little words. It really doesn't. What matters is, like I'm ordering a coffee, is the word coffee. That's what I want to drink, is coffee. I don't want to drink lemonade or tea or milk. I want coffee. So that is the gist of my sentence. I would like to have a cup of coffee. The important bit is one, coffee. Now, when you're listening to somebody, you will pick up words. Forget all the little words. Forget that, they've abbreviated that word, or they've joined words together, or what was that word at the beginning of the sentence? I didn't get it. Doesn't matter. Generally, the beginning of the sentence is not what they're asking, is not what they're talking about. Try and listen and pick up any words that you do understand. And then your brain will very quickly piece it together and say, well, they're talking about this, or she's asking that. Now, if somebody asks a question, their voice will go up at the end. So if I say, would you like a coffee? It goes up. If I say, I don't have any coffee, my voice goes down. So listen to intonation. That will help you know whether are they asking a question, and also on their face. People's faces are very descriptive. They will look at you and say, would you like a coffee? And you can see, do you want a coffee? They're waiting for an answer. Their face gives it away. Their eyes are looking at you, waiting for an answer. And you know that if they don't stop, if they stop talking, then they're waiting for you to respond. So they've asked you something. Now, if you don't understand what it is they've asked you, you can have a few sentences up your sleeve that you can use, like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Or, let me think. Or, I don't know. That'll help them realize that, okay, you haven't understood everything they've said. They then get to repeat it. And this time you can think, well, they're going to ask me a question. What are they asking me? And try and see. And a lot of people, if you don't ask answer the first time, they will show you and say, well, would you like a cup of tea? Or is that your dog? You know, there's lots of hand signals that people can use to get you to understand it. So understanding, all you need to do is understand the gist of what somebody's saying. Now, I have a neighbour. He died a few years ago. He was very old when I moved here, over 20 years ago. And he spoke the local language, which isn't even, it's a variety of French, but it comes from French, but there's a lot of Spanish in it, and it's called Occitan. And I don't speak Occitan. It's a beautiful language. It's very local to where I live. And this old man, this old neighbour, he spoke in Occitan. Now, I had conversations for hours with him. I would sit there and have a coffee in an afternoon, and he would talk away and he'd ask me questions. I had no clue what he was asking me. The only things I understood were names of people. So if he mentioned my child, if I heard Noah, I'd think, oh, he's asking about Noah. So I would say something about Noah. I had no clue if I was answering his question or not. I don't know whether he was asking me how old is Noah, or where is Noah, or what is Noah doing. I just knew he was asking something about Noah. And the other thing that worked really, really well is copy someone's emotions. So if somebody smiles and says, oh yes, guess what? I went skiing this weekend and it was so much fun. Copy and go, really? That's all you need to do. You don't need to know that they're talking about skiing or this weekend or what it is they're talking about. But for them, they'll feel that you've understood, and for you, it boosts your confidence. And little by little, you will understand what people are saying. And same, if someone's talking about, oh, you know, my cat died and I was really sad, and copy their eyes and go, oh, that sounds sad. And that's what I did with this old man. Oh gosh, for years. I had no clue what he was talking about. But he was happy to converse. I was happy to listen. And I picked up a few words here and there from him. But the whole point of communicating is to pass time with somebody. And if you can communicate, it makes it so much easier to pass on information, to listen, to understand what's going on around you. So we have pretend and fake it. Yes, it is a real thing. Yes, you can fake it and you will make it. Get the gist of what somebody's saying rather than understanding an entire sentence. Forget the little words. Forget the question word at the beginning. Forget, I don't know, the destination. All you need to know is those few words. Now, another story, when I tried to learn French before I moved to France. It didn't make any difference whatsoever. When I moved to France, it really, all the work I'd done, all the revising and the tapes that I'd bought and the books I'd worked through, none of it made any difference whatsoever. But one thing I did is I listened to French radio in England before I moved. And I listened to the same program. That's really important. If you're listening to the TV or to the radio or to your telephone, listen to the same person talking about the same thing. So it might be a news reporter and he's telling you the news. It might be a podcast, somebody that you follow and that you like. Listen to his voice over and over. If it's the radio, listen to a particular channel and a particular program. So I listened to, I can't remember now what the channel was, but they talked about cooking. And from between about 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning, there was like this cooking hour where the French people discussed what they were going to cook. And I listened to that while I was working. I listened to that French radio. I had no clue what they were talking about at the beginning. And little by little, I could pick out words. And I picked out things like fish or boil or vegetable or cut, all sorts of words. And I thought, okay, now they're talking about fish today and they're making a fish dinner. Or now they're talking about making a cake. And they would talk for an hour. And out of an hour, I recognized maybe 5 words. Do write in the chat and say hi, anybody that's connecting. I see people keep connecting, and I don't know who you are. Do say hi and say what your name is and where you're listening from. That's really important. That's quite exciting that people listen from all over the world. So say hi in the chat and let me know. And so, yeah, in an hour, I learnt maybe 5 words. That was it. But you know, those 5 words stayed with me forever. I haven't had to look up any of those words again. When I moved to France, I understood those 5 words. And if you can do that, if you can listen to the same podcast, the same radio station, the same series, the same actor, you might particularly like James Bond and watch all of his movies, you will understand more and more because you're not having to work out his accent or his pronunciation or his particular way of saying things, because your brain will say, okay, well, we're just listening to him again. And then you'll start to pick up the words. And the more you listen, the more you'll pick up. Now, today we've got the internet and we've got YouTube and we can listen to so many things. You could do yoga in English. You don't need to understand all the words. All you need to understand is what the person's doing. You can follow the movement and you can listen to the words that they're saying and do your yoga session. Or another thing that works really well is watch a movie that you already know, watch it in English. You'll pick up words like that. And the things that you do with the television, the radio, and your telephone, you can do in front of somebody. You can talk to the same person. If you go to a shop, try and find the same person every time to ask a question. Not only will you build a relationship with that person, so they recognize your accent and that you're learning English, so they will have more patience with you rather than just asking anybody. But you will also understand their accent, how they say things, and you will understand more and more how they pronounce a particular word. And it will really help you build confidence in speaking the language. The other things we said are to pause before you speak English and to breathe. It's really important to breathe. Take that breath in, take that breath out. And, you know, even I, as an English speaker, I pause when I'm speaking English. Why? Because my brain is thinking. It's perfectly natural. If someone asks you a question, don't panic and think, oh, I don't know the answer. You probably won't know the answer. It doesn't matter. What matters is you can answer with something. That's what matters. You don't have to answer with the correct answer. You don't have to understand all the words in that sentence. All you have to do is react to the person who's asked you a question. You just have to let that person know that, yes, you've listened, you don't understand everything, and you're answering back. So there's a voluntary response on your half that makes their half easier, because they will come back to you and think, okay, well, I'll talk slower. Yes, one thing that you could say is talk slower. Use hand signals. Say use short words. There's so many little sentences that you could use. So maybe I could write some of these in the chat. I could write these for you. Things like when somebody asks you a question, when somebody speaks in English, you can say things like, let me think a minute. Or just let me think, actually. I'm just going to do let me think. You could also say, I don't know. It's a really, really good, it's one of the first things I learned in German is how to say I don't know. And I used it, goodness me, I used it all the time because I really didn't understand what they were talking about to begin with. Let me think, I don't know. And then if you do understand or you're just interacting, you can use words like really or yes or I see, or what's another one you could say is just you can just say oh or wow, there's correctly spelt would be better. There's all sorts of little words that you can learn that you can then say to somebody, and remember to be polite. Remember to say things like please speak slowly. Please speak slowly. I don't understand. Really, really important. I don't, understand. It's another really, really good one. And if you want to make it even more polite, you can put in sorry, which is like an excusing yourself because you don't understand. Sorry, I don't understand. Or you can say, repeat, please. Always use your P's and Q's, we say in English, pleases and thank yous. So it's really important that the other person that you're talking to knows that you're trying to understand, and you're trying to communicate. And that will help them be patient with you. And that's one of the biggest things. So if you're looking to get directions, if you're traveling and you need to talk to someone, you can't find your hotel, what do? You don't just go up to somebody. You wouldn't go up to somebody in your language and thrust a cart in front of a map in front of them and say, show me how to get to the hotel. You would say, excuse me, can you help me, please? So there we have politeness at the beginning. Excuse me, you're asking them to give you some time. Can you help me? So can you help? And then please at the end is just politeness. Now, very few people are going to turn around and say no. Because you've been so polite, you're asking for help. And anyone should offer you some help. So one person said to me, I got a little comment this morning, someone from Brazil that can't be here tonight, and he asked me, what happens when I run out of words? What happens when I don't have any words to put into a sentence? Or maybe you don't know the words yet and you're just starting to speak the language. Then cut. You have several options. Either cut the conversation short and say, thank you, see you later. So you'll catch up with them another time. Or you can ask them a simple question like, isn't the weather nice? Or is that your dog? And try and have just a few sentences that you already know that will help you communicate with people. And just have a few more sentences. You don't even need to know all the correct vocabulary to be able to have a whole conversation about it. it will keep the conversation going. And another really good way of helping you fake your English is by repeating their sentence. So if somebody says, "It's really hot today," you can say, "Oh, it's really hot." You just repeat the same sentence. You don't even need to change the vocabulary. So you see, there are lots of ways that you can become confident. Do fake it. Don't wait until you are confident, because you'll miss years of being able to gain confidence and learn the language correctly. Just start speaking it with the vocabulary that you have. Pretend you're confident. Go out there, straight back, breathe, pause, smile, and say to yourself, "Samantha says, I've got this." Because you do. You do have this, and you will learn English far quicker if you get out there right now and pretend you already know it. Our brains are incredible things. Your brain will think you're confident with English, and it'll start pushing words at you. It'll start absorbing vocabulary quicker. It'll start thinking, "Oh gosh, yes, we're learning English." Whereas if you hide in your own home, if you only learn with an application on your phone, if you only listen to movies in English and you're not talking to anybody, you will never talk to anybody. You have to go out there and start talking to people. Now, one thing I've put into place, if anyone is watching this on replay or anyone that's hooked up with me today, if you want to talk in English, I am offering until the end of the summer, so until about the middle of August, I am offering chat groups for free. Now, what are these? They are just a safe place where you can start speaking English without judgment, without criticism, without having to pay, without being really good already at the language. You can come along, and if you only know 3 words, we can have a conversation. If you've learned English really, really well, but you want to practice, well, then let's have a chat. If you are meeting somebody, you have a member of the family that's coming over and they have an English partner that you're meeting for the first time, we can talk and prepare you for the visit, the meetup. There are all sorts of things that we talk about in the chat groups. They're fairly short, half an hour at the most, and I do it to your schedule. You don't have to fit into mine, because at the moment I'm on school holidays, and so I have the time to give, and I'm happy to give for the moment. It will be a payable service after August, but up until August, if you want to, comment me down below, write me a little message down there and say, "Yes, I want to speak English," or just write yes. You don't even need a sentence, just yes, thumbs up, and I will contact you personally via direct message and invite you to a group, and we can start speaking English. It's not an everyday thing. You don't have to connect every day to be able to speak English. If you want to connect 10 minutes twice a week, we'll do that. If you want to connect half an hour once a week, we can do that too. So it's really up to you as and when we connect. Now, that is, have a few sentences ready. We've done that. Running out of words. Fake it real. Yes, it is real. Do fake your English, and you will make it real. English is something you have to practice. Unfortunately, like any language, like anything that you're learning, if you want to learn to swim, you wouldn't sit and read a book about learning to swim, would you? You would get into some water and you'd start swimming, or start having a lesson in the water. It's the only way that you're going to speak English. Now you have this, I know you do, and I want you to know that you are as confident as I am, and that isn't very confident. I'm not, like I said at the beginning, I'm not a confident person. But when it comes to speaking French, I think, well, why am I in France if I'm not going to speak French? Why are you learning English? There's a reason why you're learning English. And you need to start speaking it. With me or with somebody else, it doesn't matter. But start speaking it. Pretend that you know it all already. Your brain will catch up with you. Your vocabulary and grammar will all fit into place down the line. That doesn't matter. Start now. Start today. Start talking. Fake it until you make it. I'll see you on the 1st of July. Gosh, already halfway through the year. If there's any subjects at the moment, I've not planned July, so if there's anything you'd particularly want me to talk about, do write it down there and let me know. I want to talk about, I don't know, fishing in English, or I'm going on holiday and I need some really good advice. Write it in the comments and I will talk about that in July. It was lovely being here. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope it helps. And I really do hope that you can fake it till you make it. I will see you on the 1st of July. Bye for now.